Hello and welcome to another AIC Productions video. Going back a little bit in my roots and reviewing a new, inexpensive, sub $300 laptop. Yay! If you've watched my videos before, you'll know this, but I absolutely love laptops in this category. Not because they're exceptionally good, because they're usually not. I mean, you get what you pay for, but there's a lot to like and a ton of value in this category. I personally feel once you step up above $300, but you're not quite to the, say, $600 or $700 mark, you're better to go used. But if you need something that just works, is inexpensive, and looks good, the sub $300 market for laptops is excellent, and there are a lot of choices. Just look at my channel, tons of laptops in that sub 300, even sub 250, and this laptop was under $250 when I bought it. It is an ASUS VivoBook E403NA-US04. Now there's a few different versions of this laptop, of the VivoBook E403NA. So this is specifically the US04, and it is right now on Amazon $260 with free Prime shipping. I bought it at Newegg because at the time I bought it, Newegg was $250 and Amazon was $300. And so you got to shop around a little bit. I'll throw a link or two down in the description of a couple different places you can buy it. And you just want to shop, if you're interested in this laptop, shop for the better deal, whether that be on Amazon or elsewhere. So just going over the aesthetics, the looks of the laptop, I think this is one of its biggest selling points, is the way it looks. Because it used to be, if you bought cheap laptops, they looked and felt cheap. And not only were you having to deal with a slower system, because yeah, you're buying a low-end system, it's not very fast, but you're having to use something that doesn't look or feel very nice. And the ASUS VivoBook definitely hits at a more premium level of quality. What are some of the things that help it do that? First of all, this shell. It's not metal. It is plastic, but I believe it has been coated in metal. It definitely has a metal feel to it. It's not as heavy as some of the other laptops I have that are a metal shell, but it is definitely a metal coating on plastic. It feels good. It's cold to the touch when you first touch it, and it looks good. It's kind of that brushed aluminum look, and it looks good. It looks like a high-end quality laptop. Now they use this shell on $500, $600, $700 laptops, and that explains why. They're using a more expensive shell on a less expensive computer, and that gives you a much better feel to the laptop, at least as far as looking at it. I'm going to flip it over. The bottom obviously is just black plastic, but it's not a fingerprint magnet type of plastic. It just a matte, texturized black plastic, which looks good. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like cheap plastic. There's not a lot of flex to it. You can pick it up with one hand, and it's not. I've picked up some laptops. It felt like holding it with one hand, it would bend enough to actually break the screen. It felt like, not sure if it actually would or not, but I always felt like I needed to hold it with two hands. This one is sturdy and strong enough. Holding with one hand is not an issue, even with it opened up. Let's go ahead and open it up. Okay, next things that feel premium on this. The keyboard is excellent. The keys have a fair amount of travel. It's a nice stiff keyboard without a lot of flex to the keyboard. The trackpad is nice and big. Now, I do have a problem with the trackpad. I don't know if it's just my specific trackpad, but it has this like ridge on this side. It's not on this side. It's on this side. So I don't know if my trackpad isn't quite centered. I may reach out to ASUS and see if this is a warranty thing. But other than that, the trackpad, it's nice and big. It has a great feel to it. It has a nice responsiveness to it. It has a nice satisfying click on it. Normally on these low-end laptops, the trackpad is a huge disappointment. The only complaint, and this is that, again, that brushed aluminum metal coated plastic down on the bottom as well. So again, not metal completely like you would get on a MacBook or higher end HP or Dell, but a nice feeling shell on the laptop. It's very pleasing to touch. It does not feel like you're using something cheap. The keyboard, perfect layout. The power button is separate from the rest of the keyboard, so you're not actually hitting it. The delete key is in the correct place. The backspace and enter key are nice big keys. The arrow keys are full-size keys instead of having the arrow keys, the up and down, be half keys here in the middle between the two. Excellent, excellent keyboard. This makes me so happy. I am a touch typist. When I use a computer, I type a lot, whether it be on forums or scripts for videos I'm doing, or just work I'm doing, replying to emails. I type a lot, and so having a good keyboard is very important to me, and this has an excellent keyboard. Moving on to the screen, and we'll turn it on here in a minute, but as you can see, with it off, you don't see me. It is a matte screen. Why is that important? Reflections. If you're in a room that has a lot of fluorescent lights above you, sometimes that glare from a glossy or even a touch screen, that glare coming back in your eyes, at least for me, can be very fatiguing to my eyes. My eyes get tired very quickly. Having a matte screen, now you give up having a touch screen on some of these laptops by having a matte screen. I've had laptops with touchscreens. I never use it unless I'm using like a dedicated tablet or something. Touchscreens to me, I just don't have a purpose for them. So I very much appreciate having a matte screen. Huge bonus for me. They're actually more expensive because they have to have a brighter backlight, and they have to be a higher quality screen to be a matte screen and look good. Has a nice action on the hinge. You can't open it with one hand. It's a fairly light laptop. There's not a lot going on the inside. I have opened this laptop up and it is not upgradable, but that's okay because the specs haven't covered those yet. Specs on this laptop, it's a Celeron N3350. Now I've reviewed on a previous laptop the 3450, which was a dual core or a 4-core Celeron processor. This is just a dual core. But is a big step up from the 3050 and the 3060. It has not 2 but 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage. Now that is so important, that 64 gigabytes of storage. I keep running into problems specifically with Windows updates about the storage because it's just not enough storage. 64 gigs, 120 is really, for me, the minimum, but 64 gigs on these low-end laptops should really be the minimum, simply because Windows itself is such a large portion of the drive. Let's go over some ports here. Obviously we have the power here on the side. Go ahead and turn it here. We have on this side power. Oh, come on, focus camera. There we go. You have power, HDMI, a USB type A, which is a USB 3.0 port, a USB type C port, which is awesome. That's something that on these 3350s, you'll see that they have the USB type C, and you have a headphone microphone port. And on this side, you have your Kensington lock, a USB 2.0 and an SD card slot, and the SD card slot makes me sad. Why? Here's an SD card. That's as far as it goes in. That's it. They really need SD cards, especially on these laptops that have such small amounts of memory that are not upgradable. You need to be able to have an SD card that clicks in and stays in and doesn't come out. A way you can throw some music on there, some other media, maybe throw your Steam game library on there if you want to play some Steam games. It's got to be able to push in and stay in and be locked in. And I don't care if it's a full-size SD card or if it's a micro SD card. That's something that manufacturers just need to stop doing, is putting on unusable, in my opinion, SD card readers. So let's go ahead and get readjusted, powered on, do some performance benchmarks, and go over a little bit more. We'll be back in a moment. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and run a performance test on this laptop, and we'll talk about the hardware real quick, and then we'll let it run, and I'll just time lapse that so you don't have to sit through the whole thing. Alright, so just hardware wise, once again we have 4 gigs of memory. There's two 2 gigabyte modules. We have the ASUS Tech chipset. We have the Intel Celeron N3350 running currently at 1.1 gigahertz. It does boost up to 2.3. And the graphics is Intel HD graphics with 1 gig of memory. Now the screen does run at 1920 by 1080. So once again, a 14-inch screen laptop with a 1920 by 1080 resolution screen. I find this to be perfect. A 14-inch screen with a 1920 by 1080 screen is a perfect resolution for a perfect size screen. I find 15.6-inch laptops, and obviously 17-inch laptops, to be far too big. The 17s, I just consider those to be a desktop replacement and not a mobile computer. The 15s, they're too big. I just don't enjoy carrying them around. I find them to be too annoying to use in general. So I don't like them. So I have found my sweet spot. Now this again is my personal preference, to be a 14-inch laptop with a 1080 screen. Perfect. So let's go ahead and run these benchmarks, and like I said, we'll probably just go ahead and time lapse this for you. Alright, so we have finished up, and our rank is terrible. But it's okay. The CPU is definitely faster than previous Celeron chips I've done, as well as the 2D and 3D graphics marks. I mean, there is a definite difference. And the disk is a pretty fast eMMC. Typically, they're kind of on the slower side of SSD storage. This one's hitting 17th percentile, which is about what I expect, with a score of 927. So it's okay. It's not great. It's not terrible. One of these days, I'll put a list of all the games I have, or all the laptops I've done, into one database for a quick reference. But this laptop does what it does well, and that is light web browsing, editing a few documents, streaming video. It has great audio on it. The speakers, even though they're downward firing, are... I've reviewed a couple of ASUS laptops, and whatever they do for their sound is excellent. They do a great job. The speakers are good quality speakers. They're a larger speaker, so they have a little bit more range on them than some of these other laptops have teeny tiny speakers. Their sound decoder, their sound chip on these is excellent. But whatever they do it well. It definitely sounds significantly better than what you would expect from an inexpensive laptop. I wish I could show you a video with good audio quality, but by the time you hear it encoded and re-encoded, it's not going to be the same. But just trust me, it's a fairly decent sound quality. You're not going to be blown away. It's not going to fill an entire room of, if you want 30 people all hear the sound. No, it definitely is for, if you're watching video for yourself, very reasonable, very good quality. Better than what I would expect from a laptop of this. The screen is not IPS, so viewing angles are not great, but it is a nice, if you're looking at it, again, if you're looking at it and you're using it from a typical use, it's a very good screen. It's nice and bright. The colors on it are excellent. Viewing angles are but it's a matte screen. It's great out in daylight. I have used it outside and it was good. I could see the screen, and it was usable outside, which some of the laptops I reviewed have not been. It's not. I always get asked the same question as far as gaming. On a $250 laptop, you're not going to be able to play AAA games. Even 3-4-year-old AAA games are not going to be something you're going to want to play on a $250 brand new laptop. Look in the used market for something with a dedicated video card. And even then, it's probably going to struggle. Will it play Roblox? Absolutely. Will it play Minecraft? Absolutely. Will it play some older games on Steam? Absolutely. Will it play some indie titles on Steam? Absolutely. It is definitely okay for casual gaming. Now, it runs into a little bit of a problem where because it has a higher resolution screen, it has to drive more pixels, which means it actually gets worse graphics performance than a similarly spec'd laptop with a lower resolution screen. It's pretty obvious. It's having to drive more pixels, which means your gaming experience isn't going to be as good. Now, you can run games at a lower resolution, but I've noticed even running at a lower resolution, it is still having to fill all the pixels, and so while it does improve it doesn't improve as much as having the screen be at, already be a lower resolution screen. And I have a very similar laptop spec wise, and I will do a side-by-side comparison of the two here soon, so keep an eye out for that. But if you're in that under $300 laptop range for well over a year, my recommendation was the HP 14NR01, or excuse me, yeah, the AN01. Anyways, the HP laptop that I reviewed a while back. His naming conventions are awful. Anyways, but that one, if you can find it, has skyrocketed in price. And for good reason. It was an excellent laptop with IPS screen, highly upgradable, very good processor, etc., etc. It was actually far better than its price suggested, except it didn't look very, very nice. But now I truly feel like if you're in that category, this definitely should be on your short list. You can get a faster processor going used, but it won't have as good a battery life, and it won't be as thin or light or as good looking. So if your needs are fairly light usage, YouTube, Facebook, email, browsing the web, doing some documents, watching, streaming videos, excellent laptop for that sort of stuff. Again, not a gaming computer. Now, if you're interested in me doing some games on this, I can definitely do that. Let me know in the comment section down below, and by giving this a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about this, again, and ask in the comment section down below. I only hold on to these laptops for a few months, so if you ask me questions 3 years from now, I'm probably not going to be able to answer. I'm getting a lot of questions on laptops I reviewed a couple years ago. I don't have those laptops anymore, so thought I'd mention it. But definitely ask in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to answer any questions you may have. I've been using this laptop now for over a month, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been a great laptop, and so I would definitely go on my short list of a recommendation. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.